I think that's good. Gabriel, all right, I'll do with the last name, A-H-L-L-E.
Alheim. Gabriella.
Gabriella,
Yes.
okay. I'm not good at names, I apologize.
Should I wait for that to reset or are we good? Okay.
All right, I stood up totally. Okay, now we're going. Go forward. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Gabriella Alheim. I'm actually a parent of two special needs children. One is actually a client of the Inland Regional Center, and I'm here to voice our concerns about Senate Bill 277. Not sure if you're all aware of the Senate bill, but basically at this point, the way it's been written, this bill will pretty much hand over our parental rights to the government, allowing them to have unlimited vaccines, whatever vaccines they seem deemed necessary for our children. In not complying with this, our children will have no choice but to be homeschooled, and this will apply to private schools and public schools. And my two children are on IEPs, and so first of all, this is a violation of their FAPE, their free and appropriate public education. Second of all, it's a violation of their civil rights. They are allowed to have the same education as a typical peer in a public school setting. So those reasons are very concerning to me. One of the most concerning things to me, though, is just actually having to have no say-so in regards to how or what I deem necessary for my child to have put into their bodies, both of my children. I've worked very, very hard to find alternatives to have both of my children be very healthy. I'm not a negligent parent. I do my research, I talk with my doctor, I make very educated decisions in regards to their health. I even go above and beyond to, do some other measures in regards to vitamins and diet and, just extra things for them that will benefit them in the long run. Because of that, they are both very healthy children. And I believe a lot of it has to do because of the fact that I'm a very involved parent, like a lot of parents are as well. And for me to just hand over my children and say, go ahead and just, do all this, inject them with whatever you see necessary, that is not the way I feel that, we as parents should be obligated to go ahead and just hand over these rights. And also I just wanted to kind of close in regards to my feelings with this bill too, is that there have been many studies. And I'll just bring up one that the FDA just recently, in April of this year, they put out a press release in regards to the pertussis vaccine. And basically, in their studies with the baboons that were actually used for the study, they found that the animals that received a cellular pertussis vaccine had bacteria in their airways for up to 6 weeks and were able to spread the infection to unvaccinated animals. So in essence, basically, this particular vaccine was shedding to other children. And I don't know if you heard on the news and all that the whooping cough had an extremely high rate of incidences where children were being hospitalized and sick, and they couldn't figure out why. And they realized that it was because this particular vaccine is not effective. I do not believe that vaccines are one size fits all. For this reason, I oppose this bill. We're asking our Inland Regional Center members to, join us in support opposing this bill. We feel it is a targeted bill also to special needs children. They will lose their services that they are due legally, able to have through public education. And for that reason, I'm very opposed to this bill. We are here to ask for your support in supporting us parents who are strongly opposed to this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you saw last week, Mary Beth, Carol sent an email to Trevor, the other one that does ARCA, to find out the ARCA position, get us informed on this.
It's Jennifer, I think.
Jennifer, that's close.
Well, Tom, while you're calling up there on the other, did you ask how they feel about this bill also?
Yes.
You might add that to her. executive.
Yeah.
Please add that to the executive agenda. Thank you so much. Susan Sanders.
Hi, I also wanted to comment on this Senate Bill 277. I have a niece who has 2 autistic boys who are being greatly helped by the things made available to them for special needs children. And I'm very concerned about her rights being denied because of this bill. And so I'm just here in support of those who have concerns about this bill. It will greatly affect many, many people and add a lot of cost to the school system. Thank you very much.
Jim String.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Madam President. Yeah, I'm here to talk about the 10% campaign. Does this work here?
No, I can hear you.
It doesn't work.
I can't hear.
We're
I
fixing
didn't
it.
think it was on. I don't think it's on. Is there a button? Oh. My daughter does not have special needs children, but she does have 3 children, and she has a very deep concern about this particular bill for the reasons that these young ladies will talk about, I think, further, so I won't get too deeply into it. But I urge you to look at it because it just closes so many options, and it is, in my opinion, a violation of rights. And I think that the way it's written right now, you would have to homeschool your kids if you didn't want to vaccinate them in your own home without other families involved. They're trying to put together an amendment to the bill right now. I don't know where that's going to go, or at least they're talking about carving out something for special needs kids, but it's not going to be attending public schools. There's a lot of reasons scientifically why also this is not a very good bill, and maybe some of these young ladies will get into that before the night's over. So I urge you to really look at this, because this is about vaccine safety as well as rights and other issues. My daughter couldn't be here tonight. She wanted to be, but she left last night on Mother's Day to go to Bakersfield to talk to a legislator by the name of Fuller, who will be a minority leader in the legislature, and she didn't get back in time. She also has a sick kid that she's at home with. But again, I would urge you to really look at this bill individually. I don't know whether individual regional centers are able to take a stand on bills like this, but I would certainly hope that you would urge ARCA to really look at this very, very carefully. The other thing I want to say is,
Christie Sepulveda-Boucher.
Good evening, board members.
good evening.
I'm here on behalf of a couple of organizations, Inland Empire Health Choice, Educate Advocate, which I'm the executive director of, and then just being a parent of a child who's a consumer here. I've written you guys and sent an email to you all. I think you've gotten a copy of it already. And essentially, why myself and several parents are here today is to encourage you as a group and individually to oppose the legislative bills that strip parents of their choice and opportunity to have informed consent when choosing medical treatment for their children. And these include three bills: Senate Bill 277, Senate Bill 792, and AB 1117. Students with special needs, many of whom are consumers at Inland Regional Center, who are missing even one dose of a vaccine would be forced to homeschool through a private school affidavit, and therapeutic services and supports would no longer be covered through school districts, leaving the regional center as payer of last resort responsible for funding these services and supports for families. What I wanted to really stress was the words from the Lanterman Act and our rights under the Lanterman Act, which I feel are being violated, especially with 277. And most specifically from 4502 from the WIC, letter B, that says, to the maximum extent possible, treatment services and supports shall be provided in natural community settings. And C, a right to participate in appropriate program of publicly supported education, regardless of degree of disability. It still takes that away, that right. E, a right to religious freedom and practice. Religious exemption is taken away with this bill. I, a right to be free from hazardous procedures. Our consumers, our children, the parents who assist them, have a right to say no, to interventions if they feel that they need medical interventions. I wanted to further say that not since the 1960s when regional centers were established, and the Lanterman Act was established then as well, have we seen this great effort on behalf of parents, storming the Capitol in a nice way to make sure that the rights of their children and the rights of themselves are still in effect. And it's something to behold. If you have an opportunity to see the hearings that happened on 277 especially, I mean, it's pretty magnificent, the testimony of parents going up there and representing. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Seems to me that some of this legislation could really open a can of worms and that there be grounds for a lot of legal challenges. So even if the legislation passes, I hope not, because it wouldn't be over.
Yes.
Next person, Barbara Colander.
Good.
I got help.
Sorry, my handwriting's much better than my printing, actually. Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Colander, and I live in the San Bernardino Mountains. I have 6 children. None of them are developmentally disabled or anything else, luckily, fortunately for me. I am here to talk about SB 277 and SB 792, and I'd like to start by saying, there's so many things to say, and I know that actually my timer has not even reset. Okay, yeah, I got a little extra time. That was my intro. Okay, anyway, these bills, okay, I have healthy children, but my second son almost died from his vaccines, his 2-year vaccines. I had a feeling intuitively that there was something wrong with it, but I was raised in a doctor's family. That's just a little prelude to this. I have 4 completely unvaccinated, beautifully healthy, wonderfully, just vibrantly healthy children, and I will not vaccinate them, no matter what. I don't care what laws they pass. So, and I'm very strong about this. I have 3 grandchildren that are autistic. They all got vaccinated fully. When my daughter-in-law stopped vaccinating them and started heavy metal detoxes, they are improving. Okay, so I have facts behind and personal experience behind my reasons for opposing these bills. And lots of people do. But it's not even about that. It's about our constitutional rights. It's about our parenting rights. It's about the right. These bills directly go against even the American Medical Association's Code of Ethics that says that people should have the right to refuse medical treatments if they don't believe in it. Okay, so that it's going directly opposing that. And these bills are not right, and they just really need to be stopped. And people should be looking at them, and if you would look at them individually and as a group, and if you have any say in it, support us, then I, for one, would be greatly appreciative. And I know there's a lot of people out there that would. And it isn't even about whether you oppose vaccinations or if you believe in vaccinations, and I have no problem. I know lots of people that, and they can make their own decisions, and why shouldn't I be able to make my own decisions, right? Why shouldn't we be able to as parents and as free citizens of the United States? And that's how I feel. So thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. This is the most stressful part. This is the sheep show. I think it's Chris Dodson.
Christy Dodson. Yeah.
Christy Dodson.
My letters blended together.
Good evening. I'm wearing red. I'm sure it's no surprise why I'm here now too. After hearing from some of the other people that I'm here with. But my name is Christy Dodson. I'm a teacher. I've taught at Etowah High School for 13 years. I actually left when I had my daughter so I could be home with her. So I took a big pay cut and I'm teaching online now for an independent study online high school. So I have this angle that's really interesting when it comes to SB 277. As a teacher, I've committed myself to teaching without discrimination, full inclusion, with the least restrictive environment for special ed kids as well as the mainstream kids. And it has been a priority to me. It's part of my heart and soul. When this whole bill kind of started, I was kind of appalled. I thought this can't really go anywhere. They can't really try to strip people of their medical decisions and the freedoms of choice for their children and what's right for their families. And the first thing that became apparent to me as I started to watch the hearings was that the senators, Pan and Allen, that are making these proposals and amendments know little to nothing about education or what is really right for the kids, especially the special needs kids that would be affected by this. This bill is not necessarily going to make more people vaccinate their children, but it will deny them a free and public education, and it will deny them the least restrictive environment according to their IEPs and other plans. So this is really concerning to me. And then to add insult to injury, I think, just the other day it was announced that Senator Pan, surprise, surprise, has established a committee in the Senate, along with a couple of the co-authors of the bill, for the special needs children in our state. I'm appalled because I haven't seen anything thus far that shows he knows anything about education or what special ed kids need or what is best for kids or their families, and I'm appalled. That's why I'm here today. Knowing how education has been affected by the budget, I mean, I've been in the business for 15 years now as a public school teacher. I was out there picketing for Prop 30 to pass, you know, their little sales tax increase so that we could have funding for our schools because we had so many teachers being laid off, we had programs that were being cut, and we were not seeing the help that we needed for our children. Luckily, that proposition passed, and finally, schools are getting some of the funding. They're able to retain teachers and the quality credentialed staff that helps the children that need them. And now that this bill has bypassed the Appropriations Committee, meaning they're basically putting that financial burden on the school districts, who knows what that's going to look like. We've struggled to get money from the state. We've struggled to keep those resources, financial resources in our educational system. And now they're going to need to be used for what? Restructuring homeschool programs for kids that are not getting what they need in the classroom because they're denied a classroom education, losing teachers that have been credentialed and that have been dedicated to teaching and to serving these children. What's going to happen? What is that going to look like? Now that I teach online, I do have several students that are actually doing an online homeschool program because their parent wanted to be more involved. These are the kids that are benefiting. You know, they're benefiting because their parents involved. They are getting credentialed staff and teachers, reaching out to them through the internet and through virtual classrooms. And it is working for them, but it is not working for all. And I've had several of the kids that are special needs go back to the public classroom because that was the best place for them. So for a kid that is missing even one vaccination, as was mentioned earlier, they have no choice but to be homeschooled by a parent who is not credentialed, who is not an expert, who may have the best intentions, who hopefully can afford to stay home and be that teacher for their student. But the likelihood of that being the best case for that kid is not good. So I'm really, really concerned about the bill, and I'm really happy to have, you know, all of these attentive ears and concerned faces, because really this is what we're here for. We're here for the kids and what's best for them. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Seems pretty unanimous, or is anybody in favor of 277?
Jacqueline Carrillo?
Yes.
Is that close?
Kind of. Jacqueline Carrillo.
Maria.
Sorry, I don't have anything officially prepared for you, but I am here along with the group to oppose SB 277 because it would negatively impact my child's education as well, for all the reasons that they're stating. So that was really all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Burke?
Yeah, hi, thanks for hearing us out. I'm also opposed to SB 277. You know, I think it's a dark night in this country if you can't refuse a medical procedure. Even though it might be done with the best intentions, you know, some of the things that we've done in the past for the greater good. And we've had the Supreme Court upheld forced sterilization laws in this country. We've injected black sharecroppers in Alabama with syphilis to test how they would respond to the disease. We've exposed military personnel to radiation. So there's a reason medical freedom is in the Nuremberg Code, in the Helsinki Convention. And there's reasons why most countries in the world do not mandate forced vaccinations, with the exception of Cuba and China. I do not want to see California in that same category. I think it's very cruel to say to a parent who has had a vaccine-damaged child. You know, what was really infuriating about the last hearing was you had parent after parent come from all over the state to go to Sacramento and say, I am so-and-so, I'm the parent of a vaccine-damaged child. The authors of the bill said vaccine damage is not a medical term. It was insulting. So, you see, parents are around their kids. They're with them all the time. Pediatricians might see them, you know, a few times, every other month. And they're making the assumption that doesn't fit certain criteria that it's not the vaccine. It's never the vaccine that causes damage with these people. Everything is idiopathic because they can't allow any doubt to come into the system because they think the whole vaccine program would just, people would lose faith in it. But people are losing faith in it. I am really concerned with the chronic health problems of our children. I mean, if you take a look at New Jersey, that's a state that mandates vaccines, and they mandate the flu shot as well. 1 in 28 boys is on the autism spectrum. If you look at, for Caucasian boys, it's higher than 4%. There's a whistleblower that came out at the CDC that talked about the corruption at the CDC, how they are manipulating the data. Some of these studies, and as Robert Kennedy talked about it at the Vermont legislature, you can take a study that says, sex does not cause pregnancy, and you can prove that by changing some of the variables. So we as parents are the only line of defense. You can't sue the pharmaceutical companies. They have a monopoly on their products. We are the last line of defense. So this bill right now is flying through the legislature. And unless people get on the phone and get out in the street, this thing is going to pass. Okay? So I implore you not just to take a stand, but take a hard stand against this. Call your legislature, write them. We're starting to turn the tide, but they're fast-tracking this thing. It's not going through appropriations anymore. There's this group think up there that, it's amazing. When I heard about this bill, I thought it would be laughed out of committee. I mean, it's not. It's flying through. So I implore you to get involved and get involved fast. Thank you. Sean Burke, I'm a citizen of Loma Linda. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other speakers? Thank you, all of you. I know sometimes.
Right here. Oh, I put in the form, I'm sorry.
Did you do a form?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
What is your name?
Emily Rickard. I'll be really fast.
All right, come forward, please. Somehow, the other one. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. So first of all, thank you all for being here, and I'm sure public comment for an hour on your Monday evening is your favorite thing that you look forward to as trustees. I want to thank you also for your concern and for your safeguarding the rights and the needs of special needs students in this area. I really applaud you for that. I'm a parent, I stay at home. I did receive my master's in counseling psychology, so I could do that. And but one of my favorite things recently is I began volunteering with my friend who is a adapted PE teacher in Riverside School District, and I absolutely love it. I have a heart for special needs children. I babysat my first autistic child when I was 12 years old and fell in love with him. So anyway, thank you for your concern. I also would like to state my concerns about SB 277, and I won't go into all the details again because you've heard a lot about it. I know you're going to go home and Google it, right? So there's no need to reiterate what everyone's been saying. But I would like to specifically point out that not everyone that is opposing this bill is opposed to vaccination. For example, in my family, my two oldest children have all their recommended vaccines. My third one is allergic to being alive. He gets ill at the drop of a hat. He has all kinds of digestive trouble. He has eczema really bad. And so I've elected not to vaccinate. And that is just because I can't get a medical exemption. You know, one of his biggest allergies is egg, and there's egg product in vaccines. So I've discussed my concerns with my doctor. I also suspect that he has a formaldehyde sensitivity and an aluminum toxicity, but I don't know that they'll even allow me to test him for that unless I pay out of pocket. But he cannot get a medical exemption. So this bill affects me in my future. And also, like currently, like Christy was saying, this affects special ed students now. After seeing the work that my friend does with her adapted PE students, it's absolutely crucial that these kids be allowed to stay in school. And you guys know that. That's what you fight for.
Yeah.
That's what you work for them to do. So I would just ask you, please take a look at this bill. It's not about being for or against vaccination. We would all love clean vaccines that aren't full of mercury and formaldehyde and aluminum, things that it is known that when some special needs kids detox from, they're able to think and function more clearly. So I really feel very strongly that any parent who has a concern that this sort of medical procedure would injure their child further should not be forced to do it and then be denied their California constitutional right to education. So that's the last. Hopefully you'll have to hear about the matter today. And I thank you so much for listening and again for your work that you do on a regular basis.
Thank you. Who's your adapted PE teacher friend?
Mary Tayton. Mary and Pete Tayton.
Mary Reed, right?
Oh yes, formerly Mary Reed.
I used to coach her in soccer.
Oh, I bet you, yeah, she knows everyone, and she wanted to come tonight actually, but she's, you know, super involved with her kids when she's not at school, so I wish she says
Awesome
hello.
family.
I knew I recognized you somewhere.
Oh, yeah?
I just wanted to say, because I don't think any of you mentioned, can you say how many vaccines children need before the age of 6 years old?
69. Yeah, I was going to say 65 or 69.
And how many doses is it? 69 doses
before
of-
6.
Before age 6. But they have 300 at least in the works, and you will never be able to say no to any of them that come out.
But
Yeah, that's-
right
What a
now,
thought,
they're
yeah.
That's a
like
clause.
46 to get in.
It's then I wasn't going to go into that, but the safety of the aggressiveness of the schedule has not been tested. Each vaccine has been tested individually for safety, but they give them, you know, like MMRs together, and then plus they give several at the same time that are all combined. And really, it's, you know, it's the additives in the vaccines that could be causing the potential problems. And I know there's a misconception that, oh, they took mercury out of vaccines. That's actually not true. If you just Google CDC vaccine additives, it'll take you to the page. and it'll show you like thiazole, a mercury-derived preservative. It's in there, as well as formaldehyde and aluminum, which are, especially when we're talking about kids with a delicate balance in their, in their internal organs, in their minds. We don't want to be adding anything else that could potentially damage them. And parents deserve the right to stick up for their kids. So.
Thank you.
Can I have, could I have one last thing, just one last little thing about it, real quick? The religious exemption will be denied as well, and there's aborted fetal cells in the vaccines, and so that is against religion, and that's all I have to say, sorry.
Yes. Thank you. Moving right along. Is, taken care of?